Welcome to my channel. Today, as a part of PCM1 preparation, we'll talk about Scrum Framework. Scrum is a lightweight framework that helps people, teams, and organizations generate value through adaptive solution for complex problems. In a nutshell, Scrum requires a Scrum Master to foster an environment where a product owner orders the work for a complex problem into a product backlog. Scrum team turns the selection of a work into an increment of value during a sprint. Scrum team and its stakeholder inspect the result and adjust for the next sprint. Framework is composed of 5 elements: Scrum Pillars, Scrum Values, Scrum Team, Scrum Events, Scrum Artifact. In Scrum Framework, we have 3 Scrum Pillars: transparency, inspection, and adaptation. 5 Scrum Values: commitment, focus, openness, respect, and courage. 3 Scrum Team roles: product owners, Scrum Master, and developers. 5 Scrum Events: the sprint planning, daily Scrum, sprint review, and sprint retrospective. 3 Scrum Artifacts: product backlog, sprint backlog, and increment. Let's talk about Scrum Pillars. Transparency. The process and the work should be visible to those performing the work as well as receiving the work. There should be awareness among team with respect to all the artifacts. We'll be discussing about the artifacts later in this video. Transparency enables inspection. Inspection without transparency is misleading and wasteful. Second pillar is inspection. The Scrum artifacts and the progress towards agreed goal must be inspected frequently and diligently to detect potentially undesirable variants or problems. To help with inspection, Scrum provides cadence in the form of its 5 events. Inspection enables adaptation. Third pillar is adaptation. If any aspects of a process deviate outside acceptable limits or if the resulting product is unacceptable, the process being applied or the material being produced must be adjusted. The adjustment must be made as soon as possible to minimize further deviation. There are 5 Scrum Values. Scrum team is committed towards their goals. Their primary focus is to make the best possible progress towards goal. The Scrum team and its stakeholders are open about the work and the challenges. They respect each other to be capable and independent people. They have the courage to do the right thing and to work on tough problems. When these values are embodied by the Scrum team and the people they work with, the medical Scrum pillars of transparency, inspection, and adaptation come to life, building trust. In Scrum team, we have developers, product owner, Scrum Master. Let's talk about developers. They are committed towards creating an usable increment each sprint. They're accountable for creating a plan for the sprint, that's a sprint backlog. They're accountable for the product's quality by adhering to a definition of done. Product owner. They're accountable for maximizing the value of the product. They're accountable for developing and explicitly communicating the product goal. They're accountable for creating, clearly communicating, and ordering the product backlog items. Scrum Master. He coaches everyone in the organization to understand the Scrum theory and practice, and the team members, the self management and cross functionality. He helps in removing the impediments. He ensures that all the Scrum events take place and are positive, productive, and kept within the time box. Let's look into Scrum events. The sprint. Sprints are the heartbeat of Scrum. No changes should be made in it that would endanger the sprint goal. Sprint quality should not decrease. The product backlog is refined as needed. Scope may be clarified and renegotiated with the product owner as more is learned. Sprint planning. In this, the product owner ensures that attendees are prepared to discuss the most important product backlog items and how they map to the product goal. It addresses three topics. Why is the sprint valuable? What can be done this sprint? How will the chosen work get done? It's a time box to a maximum of 8 hours for a 1 month sprint. For shorter sprints, the event is usually shorter. Daily Scrum. It's a 15-minute event. Its purpose is to inspect the progress towards the sprint goal and to check for any impediments. Sprint review. The purpose of the sprint review is to inspect the outcome of the sprint. The Scrum team presents the result of their work to key stakeholders and progress towards the product goal is discussed. This is the second to last event of the sprint and is time boxed to a maximum of 4 hours for a 1 month sprint. For a shorter sprint, the event is usually shorter. Sprint retrospective. The purpose of the sprint retrospective is to plan ways to increase quality and effectiveness. The most impactful improvements are addressed as soon as possible. They may even be added to the sprint backlog for the next sprint. It concludes the sprint and is time boxed to a maximum of 3 hours for a 1 month sprint. For shorter sprints, the event is usually shorter. Let's look into the role and the development process of the Scrum team. Product owner takes the requirement from the customer and creates a product backlog. At the end of each sprint, development team picks the requirement from the backlog and creates a sprint backlog and starts developing. At the end of each sprint, development team gives demo to the customer and get the feedback from them. Scrum Master facilitates the team and remove the impediments. There are three Scrum artifacts: product backlog, sprint backlog, and increment. Product backlog. Product backlog is an ordered list of what is needed for the product. They usually acquire this degree of transparency after defining activities. Definement is an act of breaking down and further defining product backlog items into smaller, more precise items. The product goal is a commitment for the product backlog. It describes the future state of the product, which can serve as a target for the Scrum team to plan against. Next is sprint backlog. The sprint backlog is composed of why, what, and how. Sprint goal is why, The set of the product backlog items selected for the sprint is what? An actionable plan for delivering the increment is how. The sprint goal is a commitment for the sprint. Increment. An increment is a concrete stepping stone towards a product goal. It's an additive to all prior increments and thoroughly verified, ensuring that all increments work together. Multiple increments may be created within a sprint. The definition of done is a commitment for the increment. Work cannot be considered as a part of increment unless it meets the definition of done. That was all about Scrum Framework. If you feel that these videos have some nice contents, please make sure to like, share, and subscribe. If you have any questions related to this video, please leave in the comment box. See you all with the continuation of this preparation.